I'm venturing into uncharted waters. I'm venturing into uncharted waters, guys. Look at this. There's no water here. So why did I say uncharted waters? Do you know what that means? Well, I was using a metaphor, okay? I wasn't using literal language. Okay, very often words and phrases in English are not literal. Okay, so uncharted waters means something new that is a bit risky maybe, or it's unknown. Okay, so I'm venturing into the unknown. I've never been here before. I have been here before. But just for the sake of teaching, just pretend I've never been here before, okay? So, I'm venturing out into the unknown. If you do something new, that's maybe a bit scary, a bit risky, you can use the word venture. It means to go. Okay, to go into something new or something that's kind of uncharted. Do you know what uncharted means? It means it's not on the map. Okay, so imagine living in Spain a few hundred years ago, you know, before Google Maps came into existence. You know, parts of the world were charted, or on the map, right? So if you lived in Spain and you wanted to get over to India, you knew that you could go around Africa and then get to India, right? Why did you know that? Because it's charted. It's on the chart. It's on the map. Okay, but imagine if you're looking out over the Atlantic Ocean. You don't know what's out there. You know, North America had not been discovered yet by Christopher Columbus, although it had been discovered by the Vikings and other people. But imagine you didn't know. You're looking over the Atlantic. And you're like, what's out there? It's uncharted. You don't know. There's no map. There's no map telling you what's over there. And so for people like Christopher Columbus, they were venturing out into uncharted waters. Okay, so we can use this idiom or this metaphor in life. If you do something new, maybe you go to college in a different country. It's your first time, you've never done anything like this before. You could say, I'm venturing out into uncharted waters. All right, guys, today I was watching the news about what's going on in the Middle East. A lot of stuff is happening in the Middle East. A big conflict is erupting in the Middle East. And the person who was talking on the news said this phrase. Tell me if you know what this means, okay? He said, sorry, I was mixing metaphors, okay? Sorry, I'm mixing metaphors. What does it mean to mix metaphors? Mixing metaphors. Well, a metaphor, I just told you, it's something, it's words or a phrase that's not literal, right? That doesn't have a literal. Some people sneaking up on me, guys. Yeah, so like, you know, in English, we use so many words and phrases that are not literal. So like, those are metaphors. You could call them metaphors. Now, what does it mean to mix metaphors? Well, I'll tell you. It means to use part of one metaphor and part of another one together when they're not supposed to be together. Okay? It's like you're kind of getting it confused in your mind, right? You've got two ideas in your mind, and this happens to everybody. Right, I'm sure it happens to you, it happens to me. We've kind of got two thoughts in our mind, and then it comes out together, kind of mixed, it mixes, right? So what he said was, I'll tell you what he said. Before he said, sorry, I'm mixing metaphors, he said, the Middle East is entering unprecedented waters. Okay, unprecedented waters. We're entering unprecedented waters. That's what he said. And that was a mistake, because in English, there's no phrase like that. That doesn't make sense. But anybody who's a native English speaker knows what's going on there. Because there are two different things you could say. You could say we're entering unprecedented times. That's one. Unprecedented times. It means a new time that we've never been here before in the world. What's going to happen? It's unprecedented. We're living in unprecedented times. Unprecedented means it's never happened before. Okay. Now another metaphor is uncharted waters. Okay. So in his mind, both those things kind of got jumbled. Jumbled means they got kind of mixed together. So that's why he said, sorry, I was mixing metaphors, because he realized that he should have either said we are entering uncharted waters, or he should have said, we're entering unprecedented times. Okay? Both mean basically the same thing. They mean you're going into something new that you're not really sure, what the outcome is going to be. It's unknown. Okay? Have you ever mixed metaphors before? Like I said, it's fairly common. Everybody kind of messes up their speech sometimes. I'll give you another example of a very commonly mixed metaphor. Okay, do you know anybody who's not very smart? Maybe when you were in high school, one of your classmates failed a lot of exams and they were kind of a bit stupid. You could say, yeah, my friend isn't the sharpest knife in the drawer. Okay, if you're not the sharpest knife in the drawer, it means you're kind of dumb, So think about if you have a whole bunch of knives, the sharpest one is the best, right? But if one is not very sharp, it kind of means mentally, that idiom means a person is not very mentally sharp. Because the word sharp can also mean mentally sharp. It means to be bright, to be alert, to be smart. Okay, so if you're not sharp, it means you're kind of a bit dumb. Okay, but there's another one that's almost exactly the same as not the sharpest knife in the drawer, and that is not the sharpest tool in the shed. Okay, so if you have a house, very often here in Canada and the US, people have a backyard, and in their backyard they have a little shed. It's like a little tiny house to store their tools and maybe their lawnmower or whatever. Okay, so that's a shed. And if you're not the sharpest tool in the shed, it means exactly the same thing as to not be the sharpest knife in the drawer. But then there's a third one that's exactly the same meaning as well. I think it's not the brightest bulb in the box. Okay, so if you buy a box of, like, let's say some light bulbs to put in your house, if someone is not the brightest bulb in the box, it means that they're a bit dumb. Okay, so very often people will kind of mix those three idioms together. They'll say something like this: he's not the brightest tool in the shed, or he's not the brightest knife in the drawer. Right? So they're taking half of one idiom and mixing it with half of the other one. Because if you think about it, right? The let's say the brightest bulb that doesn't, or the brightest, let's say the brightest tool. Okay, the brightest tool, that doesn't make any sense, because a tool isn't bright. A tool is sharp, and a knife is sharp, but a bulb is bright. Or imagine you get it mixed up the other way. If you say, you know, he's not the sharpest knife in the box, or he's not the sharpest bulb in the box. Okay, native English speakers know the meaning. As soon as they hear any combination of those three idioms, we know that meaning. But the thing is, it's mixing metaphors. Okay, so sometimes when people mix metaphors, it's funny. It's not a big mistake. It's just a small mistake. But if you want to be clear, you should not mix metaphors. Okay? But if you want to be funny, maybe you want to mix metaphors. Or if you mix metaphors unintentionally, don't worry about it. Native English speakers do that all the time. Just like the news guy I was watching, who mixed the metaphor. He said, we're entering uncharted times. He meant unprecedented times or uncharted waters. So guys, are you the sharpest bulb in the box? Oh, sorry, I just mixed my metaphors there. I was mixing metaphors. Are you the sharpest knife in the drawer? Are you the brightest bulb in the box? Let me know down there in the comments. Sometimes I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. Or sometimes I'm not the brightest bulb in the box, but I don't know. I'm pretty average, guys. I remember I did an IQ test in high school, I think. That was pretty average. I'm not very smart. I'm not super dumb. I'm just kind of in the middle. How about you? Are you in the middle? Give me an example. Have you ever done something that is in uncharted waters? Have you ever ventured out into uncharted waters in your life? Like I said, maybe you moved to a different country. Maybe you got a new job, or maybe you got a promotion and now you're like the boss of the company, but it's a bit intimidating. You don't know how to do your job that well, and you're in uncharted waters. I mean, we all do things that are new in life, right? Totally new. So give me an example in your life about some uncharted waters, or, you know, if with the idiom unprecedented times, with that metaphor, you know, usually it's when the whole world, usually people say it like this: we're living in unprecedented times. Okay, that means the world has never seen anything like this. So a good example is with the rise of AI, artificial intelligence, right? You could say AI, you know, I'm looking at these videos on Instagram or whatever. They're, you know, they're fake, but they look real. So you could say, man, we are living in unprecedented times. And that's true, we are living in unprecedented times. The world is entering uncharted waters, or you could say uncharted territory. Okay, so there it is, guys. There's your English lesson for today. Let me know, did you know those idioms? Have you ever mixed metaphors before? Anyway, guys, hope you learned something new. As always, I love you very much. Hope you're doing great. Hope you're staying safe, healthy, and happy, especially if you live in the Middle East this weekend. God bless you guys. And as always, I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.